Hello, welcome back to Laser Cut and Fly RC Models. I'm the laser model guy, and today what I'm going to do is I'm going to make one of the most iconic planes in our radio controlled plane history. It's the Ugly Stick, originally called Das Ugly Stick, and what I'm going to do is show you how to get the plan off the internet free, how to put it into Lightburn and make all the components, and then how we send it across to our laser and get all those components cut out, ready for us to make the build. Let's go. Okay, so the first thing we need to do is get our free plan, and we're going to do that by searching Outer Zone, and then we'll go to the Outer Zone website and we're looking for the Ugly Stick, or Das Ugly Stick, which is the iconic radio controlled aeroplane. So we put in Das Ugly Stick, or the Ugly Stick, and we open that, and we can see straight away there's a bit of a thumbnail of what the plan's going to look like. If we have a look down here, it's 62-inch wingspan, so it's quite a big plane, and if we scroll all the way down we see various versions of it, and right at the bottom we get to our plan file. Straight off there, and here it is in our downloads, so we bring it straight across to our folder. And we've now got in our folder, we've got full plan of the Ugly Stick. Okay, what we'll do now is we will open Lightburn and we'll move this plan straight across and get it into Lightburn and start working straight away. So open Lightburn and then import our new file, which is the Ugly Stick, and there we are. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to move that to the side of our workspace, and you can see how big it is. This is the workspace for the Sculpfun S9, which is 450 by 450, or well, this is 400 by 420. This workspace, it just gives me a little bit of room, so you can see how big the plan is. Okay, so we'll form a trace. We'll trace that image, and I'm quite happy with the settings that the automatic settings. That works nicely for these plans, and I'll just take my trace, just delete the original. Okay, so this is our trace. So what I'm going to do is, well, before we ungroup, let's just have a little bit of a look at what we're going to do. Right, it's a flat wing and all of the formers are the same size. Okay, so looking at this wing former here, it's shown again down here on the side view, and so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a copy of this. Now what you'll notice is there's a cut in for the nose, and we've got cut in for the spars, but we've also got a cut in at the back here because the trailing edge is 2 inch wide by 1/8 of an inch, so it's quite a chunky trailing edge, and that's all cut into this rib. So what I'm going to do, in order to make sure that I get all these shapes, I'm going to take the inside line, because that'll give me all the detail. Now the one thing that I am conscious of is that there is a thickness of the drawing line, and what I don't want to do is I don't want a wing that's just maybe 1.5 millimeters short or 1.5 millimeters thin, because it won't sit as well on the shape of the fuselage. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just measure how thick the line is, because this is the outside of the line and this is the inside of the line. So if we get our measuring tool and we just draw a line straight across, you can see there is 0.79 of a millimetre, and that's shown in this box here when I do that. If you just take a look now, so it's about 0.77 of a millimetre at that point. So we're looking at 3/4 of a millimetre there or thereabouts. So what I'm going to do is I'm first of all going to ungroup the whole thing, ungroup, and then I'm going to just collect that in a line, bring it over, and then I'm going to lock our dimensions, and I'm going to pick one of those dimensions. So we want to increase the size of this by 1.5 millimeters in all directions. So all I'm going to do is make the height, instead of being 49.1, I'm going to make it 50.6 or 50.7. So if I do that, 50.7, and that will increase both sides. And if we were to just take that back now, you'll see that it still, to all intents and purposes, looks the same, but now it fits the outside line rather than the inside line. So that's all we've done there. This cut in here is a 1/2 by 1/2 inch, or 12.7 millimeters by 12.7 millimeters. When we look back on the main plan, we notice that you've got a double spar just here going along so many. There's the center of the wing there, and there's a double spar which goes through 1, 2, 3 ribs, and then after that we've got only a single spar. And if you look at this here, you can see that the side-on drawing, or the orthographic drawing of this end, is showing the double spar, but after that third rib it goes down to a single spar, which will only be 12.7 millimeters by 6.35 millimeters. So we're going to have to make a different wing rib with a narrower spar. The other thing is, we've also got, going across here in the center of the wing, we've got 2 pieces of hardwood which support the servo for the wings, or for the ailerons. So they only appear in one of the ribs. Now I'll be putting a servo in each wing, a separate servo in each wing, so I'm going to take those out completely. First things first, let us make another rib, but with the reduced sizes here, and prior to doing that I'm going to take these out so that I don't have to take them out of the next one as well. And the way I'm going to do that is by using nodes. So we click on nodes just there, and all I'm going to do is take out, by highlighting these nodes and then pressing D, that will delete them. And then I come to here, press D, come to there, press D. It gives us a little bit of a flat spot, but I don't think that that is too much of a problem at the moment. So there we go. So when we come off nodes, our new shape looks just like that. Okay, I'm quite happy with that. I think we'll be fine with that shape. Okay, so for us to make our shape here, first of all, I just want to check the size of this one. It needs to be 12.7 millimeters by 12.7 millimeters. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a square, and I'm going to make that, I'll unlock that, I'll make that 12.7, 12.7 by 12.7. So all I need to do is drop that in and just check. Okay, we're a little bit on the big side, so I'm going to level this, snap that to that line and level it with the top. So keeping this at exactly the same height, I'm going to go to nodes, and all I'm going to do is pull that node in. I want it to stay there where it is, there, and then I'm going to bring one of these, let's bring this one to the corner, and then we can highlight and press D to remove those. Okay, highlight, press D to remove those, and then that one, and that line is now straight on there. In fact, if we might as well tidy this up while we're here. Take one right to the corner, snap it in place, and press D, remove all the others, because for a shape like this we only need a node on each corner. Remove all those, and let us zoom in and we can just snap that one straight to that corner there. Make sure that we're pointing in the direction we want to go with our little tabs, and then when we come out we'll see that that is absolutely bang on square. Just remove this little anomaly here. The way to remove these little quirks of the pen, so to speak, on the original drawing is just to highlight the nodes and then press D, and that will remove those nodes. And if you feel that you've made a mistake at any point, you can always just press Ctrl Z and reverse that. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to do exactly the same here. Go to nodes again, and we'll bring this one in until it touches the edge of our box, and then we can just remove all those, press D, and then bring this one, snap it to the corner, just like that, and then we can do exactly the same there. Control, highlight them and then press D, and get that one, snap it to the corner, highlight and press D, and then we'll move this one right to that corner there. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to drop this down slightly, because we want this line here to remain true, and if we find that we're just a fraction low, we can always cure that with sanding later. The main thing here is to get the perfect shape for our spar to sit in, and for it to also be in the right direction. I don't want to tip it to too much of an angle. I would rather keep them square as they are. Right, this front one is a 9.5mm or a 3/8 square leading edge. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a square that's 9.5mm, and we're going to use that just to check that our leading edge is absolutely right. Okay, so bring that down, and we'll just rotate it till it's 45 degrees, and then We'll just bring it in until this corner here is touching the line and this corner here is touching the line. Okay, so I think we need to be about there, to be honest. So again, we'll click on the outline, go to nodes, and all I'm going to do is put any node onto that corner, and then the rest you can just highlight and press D, because we're not going to need those, and then bring one to there, to that corner, and then highlight all those, press D, and then all we need to do is make sure that that corner one is pointing in the right direction, and this one too. Need to snap that right onto the corner, there we go. Okay, so highlight all those, press D, come down to this corner here, and all I want to do is snap that to the corner, press D on that one, and then just align this, and it looks like to me that that node there is a little bit out of place, so there we go, that's what we've done. When we come off nodes, we can see that we've got a reasonably good shape there, and we can take that one out of there as well. Okay, so that's our first former. Now we want to make a former where this slot here, or the aperture for the spar here, is 12.7 by 6.35. So all we're going to do is go back to this square here, 6.35, whoops, 5. Okay, 6.35. Okie dokie. So we'll make a copy, Control C, Control V. So we've made a copy of our rib. Okay, so put that in place, and then all we're going to do is go to nodes, click on there, and then bring this node straight to there, and then this node straight to there, and that's that one done. Just take this up, and we just have to, there we go, and then if we can just slide that, oops, that'll do. And then we can go to nodes, and then all I'm going to do is move this node to just there, and this node to just there. Come off nodes, and we've now got our main formers completed. So I'm just going to label those up, count up how many I need, and then we can arrange some sheets with those formers on. Now they are quite big formers because this is a big wing, so there's going to be a number of sheets. So we'll just count those up, and away we go for our text. Now that's in, that at the moment has got a height of 25 millimeters, so we're going to bring that down to, I think we'll bring that down to 5 millimeters. I'm going to call that R1, and we'll call this R2. Just get that to the same place. Now what I'm going to do now at the same time is I'm going to change the layer on the R1 and R2, because the outline is going to be cut out, but I want the lettering just to be etched in. So we'll make that layer 1, the blue layer, and then we'll make that layer 1 as well. Right, now it was pointed out by somebody in a previous video that we should really be doing the engraving before we cut out the outline, just in case if there's any slight undulation in the wood, then the the piece could fall out and perhaps move. So that's quite a good idea. So I'm going to put the engraving layer above the cutting layer just by moving them like that. There, just by moving them like that. So that means that the letters will be printed before the outline is cut out. Okay, and another thing that was pointed out was that if you are going to save the sheets or want to organise the sheets in any way, what you don't want is all of your shapes falling out. So we put tabs in, and those tabs are small, very small points on the outline that don't get cut out. And we'll use this function here. This is the tab function. Now if you look across on your Lightburn and you can't see that tab function, then what you need to do is go into your settings, and you've got a setting that is called beginner mode. Now if I was to switch that on now and then press OK, you can see that my tab icon has gone because it's not shown on beginner mode. So if you can't see it, what you need to do is go into your settings, go to beginner mode and switch that off, and when you press OK, you'll find that your tab icon is there. And all you do with this is you click on the tab icon, and then you can place a little tab on your outline, just like that, and just like that. And now if we go on to preview now and we see what is going to happen here, well, if we were to scroll right in, you can see that on our outline there's actually a little gap there, and that is a 0.5 millimeter gap. And if we scroll down to the bottom, you'll find that the same 0.5 millimeter gap is there. And what that means is that when you do your cut and you cut out, what you'll find is you'll find that the shape or that rib does not fall out of the sheet, because it'll be held in, and what you'll have to do is just snap it out with your fingers. Okay, so we've got the ribs are now done, and if I just open up the other files, you can see that we've got the wing ribs R1, wing ribs R2 in 1/8 balsa, and then the wing ribs in 1/4 balsa, which I'll just show you those. So there's 3 R1s and 2 R2s. The R2s are at the wing tips. So that's all of the ribs done now. So if I go back to the full plan, what we'll do now is we will make copies of the formers. So we've got on the plan, we've got F1, F2, F3, F4, and so on all the way back. So they're all laid out here. We've got F1 there, we've got the cowl with the surrounding, or with the back plate there, F2 and F4, F5, and then F6 there. So all I'll do is I'll make those now. We'll start with simple ones down here. We've got F2, it's 1/4 inch sheet. Seems to have a gap there. It's not taking the whole thing in. Okay, it's broken just there. Well, I think the easiest way for us to deal with this really would be to just copy it. So we're going to go from that corner to that corner, that corner. Okay, so we've just drawn around that. Now what I'm going to do is zoom in. I'm going to go to nodes. Oops. I'm going to go to nodes. I'm going to select our central one and just move that to the outside there. So we've got the outside of the line, and I'll do that at all 4 corners. I think we're there or thereabouts on that one. Oh, maybe a little, maybe come down a little further. Now these look like they're very slightly radiused on the original drawing, but the formers themselves are not radiused. Okay, they're just square. So that's the outside done for F2 and F4, and then we've got a cutout in the middle here. We'll do the same again, I think, and we'll do the same again for this in the middle. Okay, so we just need to measure the position really of that, so it's going to be well, it's 8.93 millimeters from the edge, but it's from the top of the former. It is 46.3 millimeters from the top, and it's in the center. You can see it's the center line goes straight through the middle there. Okay, so all I'm going to do is bring our two components out, so now what we need to do is just measure 46 and we're 1 millimeter out, so we'll just move that 1 millimeter to the left. Oh, probably about that much. Okay, so if we just group and then we can turn that the right way up. Call this one F2. Bring that down to 5 millimeters. We'll call this F2. Square that up a little. And then what we need to do is copy that, and then we'll come across and we'll change that to F4. And there we've got our two formers, F2 and F4. And then what we'll do is we will just put our little tabs in. So that they won't fall out when we put them in the sheets, so when we cut the sheets out. Now our sheets are 100 millimeters wide, so we can't cross the 100 millimeter line, otherwise we'll be going into another sheet and that part of it will be cut off. So we're going to have to rotate these round again, and then drop them right into the corner so we waste as little as possible of the balsa. And there we go, those two formers are done. So we've got F2 and F4. Okay, let's look at, we've got F5 here, which is a 3/16 sheet, so that will be cut from a different sheet. If we scroll in, we can I think we'll trace this one as well, or we'll copy around this one with a line tool as well, I think. Okay, so that's our outline done. Now I'm going to carry on doing this for the other formers. These ones will be a little bit trickier. I'll have to follow those round again and work out where the holes go for the motor, but I'm going to carry on and do that and just follow the same process as I've been doing, that you've just seen me do, and I'll bring you back and show you when I've got the formers all made up, and I'll show you what they look like. So I've now made F2, F4, F5 and F6, and I've just brought you back to show you what I'm going to do with F1. Now F1 is where the motor is mounted. It's at the front and it's here, so you can see we've got the former in the centre there, and then the sheet balsa that forms the shape of the outside of the fuselage is around the outside. So with the motor, what I'm going to do now is put holes in F1 that will match the motor, and I'm going to use this motor. Now this is a 3536 1200 kV, and I think it'll be a really good match for this size aircraft. Now the holes are 42 millimeters across, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to position those holes in F1. So how I'm going to do this is I'm going to create a square, and I want this to be just unlock that to square this up. So I've got a square there, and all I'm going to do is I'm going to turn that through 45 degrees. And now what I want to do is I want to make sure, you can see that that's not 45 degrees, but if I go to nodes and hover over this line and press A for a line, that is now aligned to the 45 degrees, so that is now in exactly the right position for me. Now the width of this, from this point to this point, I want that to be 42 millimeters. So all I'll do is I change that to 42, and because our dimensions are locked, that'll be 42 both ways. So if I put I center this on our former, so I'll put that center spot for the former right on the center of that grid square there. And now all I need to do is exactly the same with this. Put that onto the center of that grid square. They're now centered. So if I make a nice little 3 millimeter circle, I'll make it 3.5. We can now bring that over, and I can put that right on I can center that right on the corner. So if I just copy, get myself 3 more of those, whoops, I can bring that across, and as soon as it's right on the center, you can see the little crosshairs with the circle in. That tells you that you've put it right on. It's going to snap to the center. Okay, I think what I'm going to do with this is I'm going to group that, and I think I'm going to have it if I put it to there and then go to nodes, hover over this and press A, and now we're all squared up. Oh, I think we've moved off the centre, haven't we? So the centre of the outside is still there. There we go, centred. Okay, so I'm going to remove, I want to ungroup. I'm going to remove the square now. So those holes will match the motor perfectly. And what I'm going to do now is just below these holes here, I'm going to put just below the level of these holes, I'm going to put a fifth hole there, slightly larger for the cables to go through, and I think I'll make that 8mm. Maybe even elongated slightly. Eight by 6. We're locked. 8 by 6, and that will mean that the wires or the cables on the motor can all go through there. Next, I just group, and then we'll label that up, or identify that as F1. So I've now made most of the formers and the tail, or the tail fin, and I've made the rudder. What I want to do is show you how I'm dealing with the curves. So I'll just make a piece here of the tail, and I'll just show you what I'm doing with that. So if I make this part of the tail here, okay, the way I'm doing it is I'm using the line tool, or the line drawing tool, and I'm starting off bottom corner here, and then straight up to the top, just there, and then all I'm doing is coming round, making sure that I'm right on the outer line, and coming to places where I can just put a node, an extra one just here at this end, because the curve gets a little bit tighter, and I'll show you what I do with that. So then to close that, I just zoom right in, make sure that that's on the spot, and there we go. So that's the outline roughly done. You can see I'm level with the bottom there, and all the way through. You can see at the top I'm with the outside of the line, and at the bottom I'm near the inside of the line. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to make those the same. So I'm going to go to the outside of the line with this. Just move that onto there. Okay, and then all I do from there is I'll just bring that. Normally I would take it onto the workspace, but I'm not going to do that this time. Right, now if we go to node mode, these are all square nodes. You can see the shape of that is square. That means they're all corner nodes. So if you go to each node in turn, so that one first, and if I hover over that and I press S, it changes it from a corner node to a smooth curve node. So I press S, and then I come to this one, and again press S, come to this one, hover and click, press S, and then finally to this one, hover over it, press S, they're all now smooth curve nodes, and if I come off nodes and have a look, you see that I've got this perfect curve which follows the original shape. If we were to, I'll assign that a layer so it changes colour, layer 2, and if we was to just take that now over the original, you'll find you can see how closely that actually follows the curve. Just need to move over a little bit there. There, perfect. So that's how I'm dealing with these, rather than try to sometimes it's difficult to untangle the shape when you ungroup and then try and pick a piece out. That can be quite difficult, and also if you're trying to put curves in, that becomes quite difficult as well. But this method, where you just place a node at various points along the line, maybe a few more nodes where the curve gets tighter, and then just convert those nodes to smooth curve nodes, and that works really well. Okay, so that's all the body formers done, the wing ribs done. One last thing that I would like to look at is the aileron. And now I know it's too big for us to cut out on the bed or on the Sculpfun S9, but what I'm thinking is I'll make an aileron and then I'll somehow separate it in the middle, split it in the middle, and make it in two parts. So the way I'm going to do that is exactly how I've done the other bits with curves, and the way I'm going to do it is I'm going to use the line tool and come from this corner all the way to there, down to there, and we'll put a radius on that in a little while. And then exactly the same way as I did the curves earlier, I'm going to bring the line to there, go right to the middle of that curve, down to this point, to the middle of that curve, down to the point, and just keep repeating that all the way along. Just to get that nicely, I don't know what you call that edge, the curves. It's a little bit like the curves on the DR1. Okay, and then zoom in to make sure that we get right onto the end of that and finish that off nicely there. So now that we've got that shape, I'm just going to drag that away to over here somewhere, and go to nodes, and then every second one of our nodes here on the curve, or every node that's on the curve bit, I'm going to convert that to a smooth curve node by hover over it and press S, hover over it, press S, hover over, press S, and I'm just going to do that all the way along, leaving the bottom ones in the corners leaving the bottom ones at the points as corner nodes, because then what you'll have is a sharp corner with a curve in between. When we come off nodes, that's what we've got. So when I bring it down, you can see it's not going to fit on the bed, so I think about halfway point we need to come up with a way of separating this. Now normally I would just do a diagonal line, because that gives you the longest sort of length of join, so to speak. But what I'm going to do with this, I'm going to do something a little bit different. I think if I start with a line and just come down, and then come to that point, I'll straighten all that up with nodes. So we go to our nodes and let me see. And then if I come off nodes, now all I need to do is if I copy that whole thing and put it there, and all I'm going to do is using the snipping tool with the top one, I'm going to snip that, and then with the bottom one I'm going to snip that, and then we come off the snipping tool, and what I think we'll find is we've got two perfectly matched pieces that will fit really well and fasten together well. So I think I'm going to try that. I'm going to try that out because now we'll be able to cut both those components. We'll need two of each, of course, one for each side. They'll fit nicely on our laser bed, and I think that's probably all I want to do at the moment. So in the next video what I'm going to do is send these to the laser and you'll see them all cut out, all the components. So thanks for watching, don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you all next time.